I think I have the coolest office in the world. It's called Integral Foresight Finland, and on the window I have some memorabilia. I have a little. You can probably see the little black robot, which is a gift I got from Santa Claus when I was 5 years old. It has blinking eye lights, which I blink if my kid who's at school on the other side of the road comes and knocks at the door, and if I will allow her in, I will blink the lights 2 times, and if I'm occupied with a client, I will blink the lights 3 times. Then there's my father's old Olivetti computer. No, my father's old Olivetti typewriter, the red one, and my old Commodore 64 computer. And one of my books is also on display there, and some art. Here's some interiors of my office. Here's a little place where I can sit with good people, clients, or whoever stops by at the office. And on the right side picture, there's a little display cabinet where I put my books and my translations and my dissertation and books for which I've written articles. I've written 6 books altogether. The seventh one is coming out this fall. Well, I guess 9 books if you count the PhD, which has been published, and also an unpublished Nordic noir crime novel, which I've been reading into an audiobook. And then I have a really cool office bar and an office gym, which I'm really super proud of and really happy to be every day at the gym, that is. And then I have 3 Marshall full stacks, 100-watt full stacks from the 60s and 70s, and then an old Finnish Monster 120-watt beast. So yeah, as I said, I most likely have the coolest office in the world. Anyhow, here's my career path in a nutshell. In 2003, I started my studies at the university. Started with religious studies. In 2004, I discovered the integral approach and got all in. Integral approach is a branch of philosophy that at least attempts to take everything meaningful into account when approaching basically any topic. And it's been applied to over 70 disciplines. I applied it later on in my professional field as a coach and consultant and writer. More on that later. 2009, I translated A Brief History of Everything by Ken Wilber. And so Ken Wilber is the integral philosopher who is really well known in his integral approach. He's basically the father of the integral approach. Then we moved to the small island called Uutö, which means the outer island, which is I guess, the southernmost point in Finland where you can actually live. The southernmost point from the mainland of Finland. Middle of the ocean, about 4 to 5 hours, depending on the weather from the mainland. And we lived there with our 1 year son for a year. It was really, really cool. In 2010, I got my master's degree and started my studies with Integral Coaching Canada in their inaugural European group, and also started my own business. So I graduated from Integral Coaching Canada in 2010. And I started the studies there a year prior to that. So I started my own business as an entrepreneur, basically for the reason that every entrepreneur starts their own business, which is that you are unemployable. That's my shortest definition of being an entrepreneur. You're actually unfit for real work. You have to be your own boss. You have to have freedom. That's I guess, the impetus for being an entrepreneur. You love freedom. You're a lover of freedom in all of its forms, and you see yourself being constrained by somebody else's vision. You want to have your own vision, even if it sucks like mine did. So when I started my own business, I started out as I didn't like the word coaching. Let's put it like that. The word coaching for me just reminded somebody who was selling used cars, and I didn't like the clang of the word. So I started philosophical practice, which is a valid form of consulting, but as you can probably tell, in a small country like Finland, people with enough money in their pockets to sustain me and my part of being a family person well, there's not enough people who wake up in the morning and, after getting their second cup of coffee, have the thought pop into their minds that, well, my oh my, I'd really sure love some philosophical practice right now. So what I did is I just started calling my practice. Well, I didn't use the word coaching as much as I did when I wrote my third book. So I'm jumping ahead here. In 2014, I wrote my third book called The Stress-Free Leader. And I think that was a really cool name because the promise of what I was doing was already there in the title, Stress-Free Leader. But between that and starting my own business, I wrote a couple of books. A book on integral leadership with a colleague of mine, Keijo Halinen, and did another translation. I translated Ken Wilber's No Boundary: Eastern and Western Approaches to Personal Growth into Finnish. Wrote my second book, which was a philosophical novel called At Home in the Cosmos, Kotona Kosmoksessa. And I started my podcast about 10 years ago. My fourth book on being an entrepreneur, The Stress-Free Entrepreneur, came out in 2016. I still think that's a really good book in the sense that the template there was like this 7-step template of managing your time and energy, not just as an entrepreneur but as just a human being. So then we co-wrote a book on integral philosophy. I changed my company structure from a sole trader toiminimi in Finnish to osakeyhtiö, which is like a limited liability company. I got my PhD on Ken Wilber as a spiritual innovator in 2020. Wrote my sixth book on being a coach, and now my seventh book on sustainable spiritual growth, also co-written with Dr. Matti Kampinen, is coming out in autumn of 2025.